Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Melvin and you're watching Magelvin. And right now we're at episode 4 of crypto trading. I've talked a lot about why you want to trade, and in the last episode I told you a little bit about some simple indicators. For example, the MACD is one of the indicators, and wedges and channels, as you can still see. And right now I really want to talk about simple moving averages and exponential moving averages, and later on we will be talking about Bollinger Bands. So first, simple moving averages and exponential moving averages. So in this one we already learned a little bit about simple moving averages, because MACD stands for moving average convergence divergence. So yeah, basically there's a usage of two types of moving averages, and basically the difference of these two indicates a little bit about a trend. Usually these are 12 and 26 candles long, and I say candles and not days because you can change the time period of the candles, and the MACD will change accordingly. So if I change this to 1 day, you can see this has a really different. This looks way different. So you can see that it has a lot of volume here. It is way bigger than it has been the last year. So that's a very nice indication of, a change in volume as well. And you can also see that it's now, basically in a long descent, as you can see, since the beginning of 2024, it's been in descent because it's correcting. But it's a little bit. It's now back to normal, I would say. You can also, if it's very high up, it's usually overinflated. And if it's very low, it's very, underinflated, I would say. So, it's now actually getting below the turning point, below the 0 point, which is usually an indication that either there's going to be a change in momentum, which is already kind of happening, it seems like, but it doesn't really point to it specifically, or it can just go further and further, but it doesn't really happen all that often that it goes. It only happens with very fast, very quick falls. Only then it happens, and even then you can see that it seems to rise here, even though it went down. But this one still rose back to the 0 point, because it's about moving averages and divergence of it, not really about the price. So that was a last thing I wanted to say about the MACD. So if it's very high up, it's usually an indication of being overinflated. And now it's actually not overinflated anymore. So it has potential to go back up again. This is all based on moving averages. And moving averages are super helpful to get a little bit of an indication of, is something going up, is something going down, because it just basically grabs the average of a certain period, and you can visualize it while you're looking at this graph. So to get it, to have a better vision of everything, I can hide all my drawings by just clicking on here and just click hide drawings, or just click this. So now it's just all gone, and if I press it again, it's all back. But for moving averages, it's very nice to just get rid of them. I'll also get rid of the volume one, and I'll also just collapse this pane to just only have this this graph. And I'm still on the day, because why not? So I'm gonna open this one, and this is the EMA SMA that I found. So let me see. I went down to community scripts, and then I went typing multi, I believe, and then I saw this one, but it was not the one that I was looking for. I was looking for multi SMA EMA Bollinger Bands. I don't know what it all said, but I think I just clicked on this one, which has a lot of likes, 900, not the most, but not enough. So this was very nice. And I got a lot of options, and why I chose multi is because you can now choose 8 different moving averages and then 6 different others. So and the difference between the two is the simple moving average is literally simple. It just grabs for example, I can get the inputs of everything, put it in here. So, for example, the SMA1 is 10. I like to make it quite a little bit bigger, like 5, and the other one 200. So it's very long term. And the same I like to do for this 50 and 200. And the other ones don't matter because, well, I disabled them. You can also give them colors, so I gave them 2 nice colors to identify them by. And this is basically, this is basically the setup. I press OK and I can make it visible. And now you see these nice lines that I created. So a simple moving average is just basically grabbing the average. So I put it now on 50 and 200. So that basically it grabs the average of 50 candles and then it shows you. And that's the orange line here. And it also grabs the average of 200 candles and it shows you in here. Yeah, so it's, as you can see, it's way lower than the whole graph. But it's a good indication for if something is in a positive trend, if something is in a negative trend, if something is overinflated, because as you can see, this gap is super big. So basically you're doing the same as the MACD, but now with your own eyes, you can see that the gap between the simple moving average, the simple moving averages are the fat lines, by the way, the thick lines. The thick lines are very far apart. So yeah, as you can see, it's pretty high up there. And the same thing can be said in the MACD, as you can see, only this is on a shorter term, so the shorter term will say that it's actually not overinflated. So yeah, that's a little bit the difference. This is on a very, very long time scale. I mean, this is 200 days, this is 50 days, but if you go to hours, it's way different. So 4 hours, as you can see, it's already completely different. And I really like that because for the 4 hours, I like the 50 and the 200 because they are both very useful. They can be used as a kind of a MACD. And also I added the exponential moving average. And the difference between the two is that the exponential moving average gives more weight to the most recent changes. And that's why I really like to use them both. Because, for example, at the $50 or the 50 candle one, you can really see it like going over each other and under each other. And here's, for example, a very nice flipping point where the exponential moving average, which are the thin lines, goes over the simple moving average. And even though they have the same, well, almost the same, I think the exponential moving average has 1 day more. But yeah, even though they have basically the same amount of candles that they average over, because they weight with a certain multiplier on the exponential moving average, on the more recent ones, or the most recent one, I believe, you can really see that it has a different path. And if it changes like this, this is usually a nice indication of either a trend removal, a trend reversal, or a just a positive indication. So if the simple moving average of the simple moving average of a shorter time goes under the longer one, that's usually a negative sign because then the trend is down. But the same can be said between the simple moving average and the exponential one, that if they cross, then it also says something about a shorter term trend, I would say. So as you can see here, we had this very long positive trend. Both were basically almost the whole time under the graph. Basically, this one was completely under the graph constantly up until here, which means that it has been stabilizing and correcting. So this usually, if it goes on above if it goes above the graph, it usually implies that it has had a negative trend for the last time, usually, but doesn't indicate that it will go down further. I mean, this just indicates that it is a positive trend, but doesn't indicate that it will stay a positive trend. However, these moving averages are also used as sometimes of a resistance or support. So, for example, I might use 250, but a lot of people use other sizes. You see 200, 377, and 89, and I don't know where these numbers come from, but they come up with them at a certain point, I believe. And yeah, they just look at the candles and they see like, oh well, here it actually touched also a little bit this line, and here it also touched, and here it actually went through it. So yeah, it is not always a good indicator, but it can be a very good indicator for a trend reversal. For example, here there was a divergence, and then you see it here come back together again, and usually this means that it would probably go up soon, and it kind of did. And not only it kind of did, it stayed up there. And now you can actually see a kind of a trend reversal here, which is not the best sign. So as I said, our mind really wants it to be a positive sign, but this is just a negative sign. I mean, a lot of other things note that this is a little bit of a positive sign, but it doesn't say that it's going to be going high. And that was also not what I was thinking. I said I hope it would go to the 100, which is now decreased to about 90, 98, 99, because of my indication of this simple moving average of 200. But I do see this, and this again is the short-term indication for maybe a trend reversal. Trend reversal, yeah, basically that it goes up again. So I do believe that it goes up. I do believe that it might go up to 98, and if it breaks through this line, which is basically also, if I set everything on again and turn this off, is basically if it goes through this line, then yeah, you have the same thing again as I said before, but then you can all get it from the simple moving average and the exponential moving average, because those have kind of a similar goal of being a sort of a support or sort of a resistance, and giving an indication of, well, if it rises, then it might stop a little bit around this. So yeah, it happens a lot that it will reverse, it will go through, and that it kind of is used as a trend reversal sign. So for example, this one is a sign for it going down, because the shorter one goes under the longer one. But then again, other ones indicate that it might still go up a little bit. So it might diverge a little bit. If I go to the MACD again, what does it say? It has already been a little bit on a positive trend, but as you can see, there's nothing really that indicates that it's going to grow very large on the MACD. So, oh, that was not what I wanted. Oops. So yeah, you can use these. You can set them to a length of your desire that you think that works the best. I usually set them to 50 and 200, which are very long, simple moving averages. You can also do... Oh, I'm sorry. You can also use other ones for the exponential ones, because those are way more sensitive to time. But I like to keep them the same, because they stay pretty close together, and they say about the same, but the only difference is that one is just more recent time sensitive, and I like to have a little bit of an indication of that. So for example here, this is, for example, for the long term, an indication that you're in a little bit of a negative trend. While if you would only look at simple moving averages, you would only notice that about 4 or 5 days later, which is a difference. You can also look at here. Here was a very nice trend, and here you see a reversal where the EMA is going under the SMA, and then you know that the trend to the top is a little bit over, and it does diverge here a little bit, but eventually doesn't go over. And yeah, this just indicates that it's, well, if it stays together, it's very tight, then usually it's just a trend downwards, and then you can just look at a longer one to get more indication of it. So this was the first indication of the hype being over and getting a correction. That was here. Doesn't always indicate this, of course, because if you go down here, oh, where am I? If you go here, because this was also kind of that, you see here that it went under, and then it went very close, But yeah, it stayed stable for a little bit, and then you see it go over again a little bit, and it stays up. And this is a very, very tricky situation if you're in there, because you think it's over, and then you think it's just gonna, yeah, hang on about here or something, but then it still goes up, which is weird. So yeah, you have to always use more indicators, as I already said. So that's the simple moving average and exponential moving average. Just do with it what you want. This is what I do with it usually. I usually look at it and I think, oh, this gap is big. There has to be a change in either... there has to be a change, and the biggest possibility is that this will go there instead of the simple moving average going down, because that one is less sensitive to recent times. This one will probably go up. So these ones will converge probably somewhere ever, because they like to be converged, and that might be because of a positive trend. That's kind of things that I'm looking for. And this is also a sign, as I already said, for a positive trend. And the MACD doesn't really say anything. And the things that I already found, of course, these ones, these are also a little bit of a small positive trend. I'm not saying that it's going up all the way to 126. I'm just saying I wanted to go up to 100, because, and now I'm going to tell you something that is really important, which I'm also going to say in the next episode, is you are not looking for mega gains. I don't know if I said it in the first episode already, but you're looking for small gains. And why is that? I can grab a calculator. Maybe it's fun to grab an online calculator. Maybe this one. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is this a good calculator? I don't know. Probably. Let me just think. Nah. Online calculator? Oh no, this is weird. Nah, I thought this was good. This works. Alright. So, okay, I grabbed the calculator. And that's for a good reason, because I really want to show you why you only need small gains. So first of all, if your goal with trading is to make a lot of money in a very short amount of time, don't bother even trading, because with that goal in sight, you will never gain what you want. Or it will take so much money and time from you that you will get really demotivated and don't do it ever again. What you really want to, and what I think is a very good motivator, is in the end, in like 10 years, I want to be able to maybe make a living off of it, or just maybe have a little bit of a side hustle with it. So just not having it as a main source of money, of course, but at least be able, for example, my main goal right now is be able to maybe pay off my student debt with this. So my student debt is probably going to be around, right now it's about 10k. I believe it's going to be like around 20 to 25k at the end. And I'm very lucky because a couple friends of mine have like 50k plus. But yeah, 25k is a lot of money, and I really don't want to just cough it up straight up. And if I want to pay it off with my job, about 5% of my job, which is going to be, if I earn a lot of money, for example, if I've got 4,000 euros a month, then only 5% of that is 200 a month I can pay off. And that's going to take a long time. So 200 for example, so for example, I have 25k and I have 200 that I pay off, so it takes me 125 months. Okay, so that's not that much. It's about 10 and a half years, but still, it's 10 and a half years to pay off 25,000 if I get this good of a job, 4,000 euros a month, which is a lot. I want to be able to at least be able to like pay a part of it, because I cannot get a loan for a house. I cannot get a mortgage for a house if I still have my student debt. Well, probably not. So yeah, you want to get around that, and this is my way of thinking. So, for example, I begin with 50 euros in my crypto account. And for example, I've been trading all the time, blah, 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 and I've maybe lost, or in total, I have not gained or lost any money, and I now have 50 euros and 5 years of experience. Well, in my case, it's more. I have more euros, but I was lucky. But in general, it's believable that you might even have a little bit of a debt, but at least you have 50 euros in your broker account, and your goal is to make it a lot of money in the end. Well, it shouldn't be. You see poker now here. This is unpaid, by the way. Just if you're curious. I'm not playing poker by real money. Although I also really like the psychology of poker. Anyways, 50 euros. And your goal is to, well, be able to, with these 50 euros, pay off your complete student debt. Well, it's very hard to get that. But to bring an example, if you would get 5% profits every single month. So for example, I was already talking about 10% profits in some cases. Like in a couple of days you can get 10% profits or something. Please take the 10% profits if it's very possible to get it. But don't risk too much, because if it can go up 10%, it can go down 10%. Anyways, if you're able to always lock in 5% in profits, always. You can even set it aside if you like to, but I don't know why you would do that. I just think you can also stop trading for the whole month after you gained your 5% profits. So I get $50 and I get... no, wait, that doesn't work. So 50 and then... Wait, do I have an ANS? Oh, I have an ANS. Oh, sorry, I have an ANS, which is not there anymore. So we got 50 and then ANS times 1.05. 1.05 is basically the multiplier if you have 5% profit. So this is for a month. And after a month, you have 2.5 euros. It's not a lot. Then you do it again, you have 5 euros extra, then you have 7 euros 80, then you have 60. As you can see, the steps are like 2.5 euros, but every time it's a little bit bigger. So $3 now the step's about $3 still. Now the step is just above $3. And you can go on. But the easier way of doing this, of course, is get your beginning, get your profit a month, and then give your time period. For example, if you do this for 5 years straight, 5 years, every month you get 5% profit. And 5% is kind of risky. Okay, I'm back. It's about half an hour later because I got called multiple times, even though it's 4 a.m. Doesn't matter. Anyways, what I was talking about is, well, you can simplify this by just writing 50 and then 1.05, which is basically the 5% gain every month, and then just calculate how many months. And how many months, for example, if you go on for like 5 years, it's a good indication to already see what happens with 5% every month. And 5% is maybe a little bit risky, so you can even choose to go for 3%, but 5% should be doable if you have a little bit of experience. So I said 5 years of experience, but basically actively I have like 2 years of experience, 1 or 2. And I feel that 5% should be doable without too much risk. So yeah, I'll just put in to the power of... well, is the 5... Did the 5 go weird? Anyways, 5 to the power of... Well, we have 12 months a year. We have 5 years, so it's 60. And as you can see, it's already 933. Which means that I almost multiplied my initial amount of money by 20 times after 5 years. And that's very fun because every year that you do this extra, so for example, this is 5 years and I hope to be done with my study in 5 years. Yeah, so that means that after 5 years I can already pay with 50, I can already pay back 1,000, which means, and I have 300 in, so I can also change this to 300, I can pay back 5,500 after 5 years. But what I can also do is, I said 10 years, for example. Well, if I would go on for 10 years with this amount, 10 years is 120 months, you see that I already have 100k. That is a lot of money. And yeah, it cost me about 10 years to pay back, I thought it was. And that's from when I'm done studying. Which means that 5 years after studying, I already have 100k to spend. Which means that after 5 years, I can already pay back. I said 2 years, by the way. 2 years, or 10.5 years, I believe I said. So it would take me 10.5 years? I believe it was something like that. I thought it was like 125 months. So yeah, 10.5 years from the moment that I have to pay back. So that's basically in 4 years. And this is from now, because I now have this, 10 years in advance. So basically 5 or 6 years after I'm done studying, I already have this. And yeah, I wouldn't go earlier, because that means like if I go a year less, then I already have half. Well, almost half. Just over half. So as you can see, you multiply every year by about 1.8, which is insane. You can also just, oh God, you can see it like this. Yeah, so basically this is that, and then 538 divided by 100, 300, I mean, that's 1.8. Yeah, okay, so it was a good estimation. So yeah, every year you can multiply by 1.8, basically, because that's this. Why am I doing it so hard? I can just do this to the power of 12, and then you see 1.79. So that's basically the amount of money that you would gain by every year. So you can use this for yearly. So basically, on a yearly basis, you will have 180% profit. Even though that 12 times 5 percent is definitely not 180%, which is like, it's probably got to be like 60%. So you see it's like exponentially growing. And that's something that is a very important takeaway. If I do this, for example, for 3%, which is this, oh no, it's now crashing. That's not good. 3% every month, and that for a year, then you see that I multiply by 1.4 every year, which is also a lot. Basically I said 180%, but you get 42% gains every year. And this is just a multiplier, which you have to do for your money. And of course you have to do this. So I can do this, and then and to the power of how many years? Well, 5 years, for example. And then you see you multiply your money by 5. And if I do 10 years, oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. It's 34. So if I have 300 here, then you see they have already have 10k, which is not enough to pay off my whole debt. So my goal is going to be 5% every month for the coming 10 years. Of course, you can always take more than 5% if it's very easy to do. But if you have gotten a loss, try to minimize your losses, and maybe even on another date in the same month, try to gain enough to be 5% in total, so that you, in total don't have loss. And then what I can also recommend, which is a little bit, how do you say it? A little bit boring maybe, but I have 300 here, and I've been thinking, like, if I set aside, for example, 100 euros or 200 euros to just play with, and the other 100 I'll just keep in some coin for the rest of time, then you at least have something that's always staying and not going anywhere. And the other part, you can try to make as much as possible out of it. Why you wouldn't do that, I don't know. Because there's two ways of investing, and one of them is just basically staking, which is basically just getting the interest of a certain coin, which is very nice that it exists right now, because basically you can get interest for just having your coin in a certain, having your money in a certain coin. So for example, I am now completely in Solana, and I believe that there's a staking on that for every day that you're in Solana, I believe you get like 0.05% or something like that. I don't know exactly. Interest. And that 0.05% is every day, of course. So 365 to the power of 365. So it's 1.0005. So that's 0.05%. And that's to the power of 365 days, which is 20% every year, which is a lot. Which is also very nice to have. And of course, it's not as cool as you have it every 3% every month or something, or 5% every month, but it's stable, and it's also a very good way to earn money. And you can also do some very cool stuff with that. But I will be talking about that later, because my videos are getting longer and longer. So I hope this was a little bit insightful. Like, don't try to gain 20% every day, or like, oh, I see something, I want to go for the 50%. No, if it goes up 20%, take 10, or maybe take even 5. Just be happy with what you got. And with the 5% every month, you can gain a lot. You can even, if you understand the market enough, you can maybe even say, well, I don't want the 5% gains every month. I might be able to do 7% every month. I don't know. Or, oh wait, I see something. I can not only gain 5% this month, but I see that I can do sort of a system where I just buy in and then wait for it to go down when it's in a channel, for example, and then go buy in again, and then in maybe a week time you can do the 5% like 3 or 4 times. You don't know. You'll never know. But it might be possible. And you always have to keep that in the back of your mind, that the 5% every month is a very good rule to live by. Because as I already said, there we go. If you do this for 10 years, you will have a lot of money. You will have almost 350 times duplicated your money. That's a lot. So yeah, if you have 200, no, wait a second, and times 200, then you already have 69,000. Nice. So just saying. And you can always add more money if you want to. If you can always add, for example, as a subscription, like 10 euros or $10 a month, and then you also grow your capital in that way exponentially. So that is also a way to invest. Anyways, that was it for now. So let's recap a little bit. I've talked a little bit about a little bit extra about the MACD. I've talked a little bit about the moving averages. I did forget the Bollinger Bands. I don't use the Bollinger Bands myself. So yeah, I'm just gonna add that to the beginning of the next episode, I guess. Go quickly over it, what it means, and why you might use it. But yeah, this episode is long enough already. So yeah, I guess, and let's see what's doing. Yeah, not a lot. I mean, as I already said, I've been recording these in one straight session because I just have the focus for it, I guess. So if I'm very repetitive, I'm very sorry. I hope you enjoyed. I guess like the video if you liked it. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I'm really curious to what you think of what I have to say, and I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. Whether I agree or not is another thing, of course, but I can always need suggestions. As I already said, I really want to build like a community of people that have knowledge about this, that can exchange the knowledge. and not just a community that's trying to follow the hype of some other YouTuber that says what is good and what's bad. So I'm just saying what I think is my way of trading. I don't know if it's the right way, but it does feel very nice, and it has helped me get it right a fair amount of times already. So I feel very comfortable using it. You can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you a couple suggestions. So yeah, as I said, like the video if you like more. If you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more. Comment if you have any suggestions, and I see you tomorrow. I don't know if it's tomorrow, but anyways, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night.